just move on to Mrs. Funmi Ogbue, CEO of Zigma Limited. Your company's success under Project 100 illustrates how targeted interventions can unlock SME growth in the petroleum service and supply ecosystem. So based on your journey, what specific policies, supportive structures, or supply chain reforms are needed to scale indigenous petroleum SMEs from local operators to globally competitive petroleum tech producers like that of Norway offshore tech SMEs? So can you throw some light on that?
Sure, I can. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, fellow panelists, and NESG, the esteemed organizer of this event. I'm very happy that I was invited to speak on this topic because it's not only what I believe in the sense that Nigeria has to industrialize for the betterment of everybody, but that the oil and gas industry being successful is the key to that industrialization. I'm a firm believer in that. And so I'm very happy that I've been invited to join this conversation. As I was introduced, my name is Funmi Ogbue, and I currently serve as CEO of two companies, Zigma Limited, which is the one that is a Project 100 company, and Jake Riley, that is a consulting and contracting organization that focuses on public sector reform and organizational change management, skill development, and creating a platform for industrialization. So I think it's very apt that I was invited and I'm here. I'm also the immediate past president of the Women in Energy Network and one of the founders. There were three of us that founded it. I'm one of them. And I currently serve as the Assistant General Secretary and the Publicity Secretary of the Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria. So I'm an activist and advocate, but I'm also a practitioner. I'm in the field and I'm constantly engaging government on policy changes that are required. And so when I got the question, I was very happy that I was, like I said, asked to share my perspectives on building globally competitive petroleum-based service industries, particularly taking lessons from Norway. So I'm very proud that my company, Zigma, was selected out of over 8,000 companies that participated in that Project 100 initiative. It was an initiative that was established by the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources when Dr. Kachiku was the minister, and anchored under NCDMB. And so out of over 8,000, 100 companies were selected. It's a visionary program, really, and the aim of it is scaling to the size of people like Halliburton and Schlumberger, the global service companies in the world, because this is how they started as well. So it was an initiative aimed at scaling 100 high potential Nigerian petroleum service and supply companies to be globally competitive. And we were very excited to be part of it. Over the last 5 years that we've been part of it, we have benefited from the scheme or from the initiative. I was personally sponsored to attend the Global Petroleum Show in Canada, which was supposed to expose us to original equipment manufacturers and potential partners. And also, we were invited to go to the universities in Canada just to see the linkages between research, academia, and industry. Unfortunately, none of us that went there came back with any success. Because as you know, every company is also, or what we found out very quickly is that every company is trying to promote their own industry and their own local, companies. So most of them that we met with were not really interested in the African market. So I have to say that no real benefits was recorded from that trip. However, it happened. A lot of my staff, or our staff, have been sent on training on things like subsea, project implementation, a lot of not really core things that will move the dial. But nevertheless, I experienced under this program clearly illustrates that when policy, opportunity, and ambition align, remarkable transformation is possible. However, for that transformation to occur, it cannot be about one agency or one initiative. It has to be a bit more integrated and intentional. And as you know, as we all know, Norway's success wasn't just about oil or just about one part of the country or the other. It was about building an industrial ecosystem that now gave way for the country itself to thrive. The government gave, if you think about it from the starting point, they have a national oil company, Equinor. The government gave them autonomy to operate on the basis of commerciality, whilst nurturing a network of local suppliers that have evolved into global players like Aker Solutions and Subsea 7. The government enabled innovation through long-term policy consistency, aggressive R&D investment, and export facilitation. Unfortunately, I cannot really say the same is happening in Nigeria if you think about the way the NNPC operates. In our case, there's a lot of involvement from the political perspective, and we don't really have that policy consistency. Having said that, the PIA is aiming to provide that, but I cannot say that we're there. So in Nigeria, having said that though, Project 100 has given us visibility, some critical capacity support, but to truly replicate Norway's trajectory, we must deepen reforms. We must deepen reforms through, number one, long-term aggregated demand contracts. If somebody asks me today, or any one of us on this call, something as simple as, how many valves are you going to need on an annualized basis over the next 5 years? We can't answer that question. So I feel that there must be long-term aggregated demand contracts, multi-year contracting models with clear local participation targets, help SMEs like us to plan, invest, and specialize, just like Norway did. The practice we see currently is that jobs that are suitable for companies like us is always short term. I mean, we spend a lot of our time bidding and bidding and bidding for the smallest things. And so we can't plan and we can't deepen our capabilities. We can't secure investments. Even when we do see long-term contracts, they're usually on a call-off basis, in which case we don't know for sure whether those services will be called off or not. And therefore, it doesn't enable that sustainable development to occur. Secondly, there must be incentives for innovation. We need funding. We need to fund joint R&D. I mean, as the previous speaker said, it's very important that we're developing local IP and adapting technology for our uses. You know, like I said, if you think about our visit to Canada, and even when we go to all these global technology shows, a lot of them are not targeted at Nigerian markets or the African market, for example. So we must do that ourselves. We must repurpose tools, softwares, and offshore systems for our environment. And so that funding for technology adaptation is critical. And that can only occur when, even for those of us that do take the bullet and do it, there's incentives. Thirdly, industrial clusters. Industrial clusters are very important because without that infrastructure bedrock, you cannot survive. Norway built oil field service hubs with shared infrastructure. Nigeria must invest in industrial parks that house SMEs, provide access to fabrication, testing, and logistics infrastructure. The NCDMB started something, we're aware of it, but where they are precisely and whether they are continuing with it, we don't know. We haven't really seen that traction, and that bedrock is important because by the time you are building your own infrastructure yourself, you're not competitive. So shared infrastructure is critical. The fourth thing that I'd like to highlight is very important, is export pathways. We build capacity. We must be able to utilize that capacity internally within Nigeria, but also outside Nigeria. SMEs must be supported to scale regionally through export credit guarantees, training in international standards, and business development support across regional footprints that is happening in Africa. There's so many countries now in Africa that have discovered oil. There's no reason why Nigeria is not driving that. But like I said, it has to do with a lot of intentionality and an integrated approach. Not lip service, not one-offs based on, whether the person likes your face or don't like your face. But, that combination of government policy and partnership with industry. And I'd like to stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Funmi. You mentioned a lot of things here, and one thing I've picked from your discussion is that it appears there's not a level playing field for SMEs compared to international IMCs. And you've talked extensively about needing to scale up to size, like the foreign counterparts, Halliburton and all that.